Hello, everyone, and welcome to the May MyBlogGuest Hangout. Thank you so much for being patient. Google wanted to make its presence known, so we had a few hiccups, a few restarts, a few rejoining. But we're here now, and we're ready to go. And I have to say this, Anne, I have to do this too. Guys, we have Anne on the Hangout.
Hi.
I have to put you on the spot. Anne, do you want to welcome everyone?
Sure. First of all, sorry for not being there previously, but I'm having a really busy period in my life, and I'm hoping I'll be there monthly starting from today. And I'm also hoping that Google will let me be here all the time.
Well, no apologies necessary. We're just thrilled to have you whenever you can participate.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Hey, let's take a moment to say hello from my left, going across. So, Brooke, do you want to say hello and introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, I'm Brooke. I'm from Minnesota-based Happy Dog Blog Productions. I'm an online marketer, and this is my first hangout with MyBlogGuest. I contribute to MyBlogGuest, but I've never done a hangout, so I'm excited to be here.
Excellent. Glad to have you. And Don.
Hey folks, am I coming through okay now, Deb?
You are.
Okay. Hello, good to see Brooke. I've not seen before, and Anne, I've been, waiting to get the chance to hear that accent. And I know I'm the one with the accent, but I love it. And I can't wait. I'm also looking forward to Sana. And
Yep.
you need to hear Sana's accent.
Next time we'll compare our accents, I guess.
Yeah. It's so good to see you folks, and this is great, just getting together and chatting a little and putting a face and a voice together.
Excellent. What accent? I don't hear any accent, Anne.
Thank you, Deb. I love you.
And Min Min?
Hi. Hi, everybody. I'm happy to be here, and I'm glad to see Anne, and also welcome Brooke. I don't think Anne has that accent she mentioned at all. I can understand her very well, perhaps better than someone else. Anyway, hello.
Hello. Welcome. And Phil?
Right.
Just to make you uncomfortable.
I'm the one with the accent according to you lot anyway. I have Deborah seems to manage to understand me, but I don't know how the rest of you. I will try to talk slower than I usually would, and that way perhaps we can all understand each other. I think the main thing is to talk slowly and try to enunciate words clearly, and we'll get over the accents.
That's true. Phil, I told you that I get such a craving to watch BBC after talking to you.
You don't get people on BBC talking like I talk.
Oh, that's true, but you can get different dialects.
Not dialects. Come on. Different accents. I mean, if it was a dialect, I'd be talking, away the lads, and, like they do in Newcastle and places like that. No, just an accent.
That's the tapestry of life.
Right.
Yep.
Hey, Shannon.
Hey, present.
Hey, since we have you present, how would you like to take the first topic and revisit? How many times have we done this, Phil? Like revisiting bylines?
I don't know. I give up.
What are we discussing about bylines now? Again?
Like a refresher?
Everything.
It's always everything, Phil.
How about write a byline?
Are you going to write one on the spot?
Actually, no. Just how about somebody just give us a byline that we don't have to fix? Wouldn't that be great? That'd be great. We get a lot of one-sentence bylines lately. You see all the time. One sentence. Not even a last name. You just sometimes wish people would make an effort.
I think if somebody's not prepared to put their name to a post, it's as though they're ashamed of it.
Well, that, or they don't really care where it goes or what happens to it. You know what I mean?
I wouldn't want to post anything without a name on.
You're a true writer, Phil.
This be true.
Yeah, you know.
I think it should be mandatory that they should have a first and last name, and that they should have to link to a social profile. But that's just me.
Now, what about putting in a fake name, kind of like a pen name?
Well,
That's what I do.
That's so clear.
Oh, it's all right then. Good idea.
no, I think it's great. If you need to make up a fake name or an alias, and maybe sometimes you write under a certain niche, and sometimes you write it a different one and you use a different. I've done that. But I wish they'd at least put a last name. Pretend a little better. Wow, the clan's all here.
Yeah, we've never had this many.
I don't think so.
I just didn't count. 1, 2, 3. Across the. I
10,
think we've.
we're full.
Yay! We've maxed out. Sorry, guys, for anyone that wanted to join, but you certainly can watch on the event page or on socialwebcafe.tv/live. Oh, yeah, I guess if they're watching, they'd already. Oh, anyway.
For one more? Is it 10 or 9?
It's 10. And then I think, Anne, next month we're looking at posting this live on the MyBlogGuest blog.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll be good. So you can interact, ask questions, comments, and so forth.
That's the plan.
Gerald, did I see you? Oh, there you are. You want to say hi to everyone? I'm sorry, Shannon. I didn't mean to cut you off. I just got so excited when Gerald popped in.
Hey, everyone.
Hey.
Good morning, afternoon, wherever you are, depending on where you're at.
It's still morning here. What is it? Phil, it's late there.
Tea time. 4:15 in the afternoon.
It's late morning here. It's a little after 10:18 a.m.
And we also,
where I'm at.
we also have Helen here, but Phil has been teaching me not to put people on the spot. So Helen, I'm going to say hello to you, and you're welcome to talk, but I won't put you on the spot beyond what I just did. So Shannon, we're talking about bylines. Anne uses a pen name. I'm all for pen names, but then I have a stage name too. It's nice to see the.
Sounds interesting. No, it would be nice if people use a full name. You know, if they're gonna use a pen name, they could pretend a bit better. You know, and I really dislike seeing so many just single sentence. Joe Blow wrote this article. That's it. That's all you get. It's like, what's the point? So I wish people would make a better effort. If you're gonna use a fake name or whatever, let's go for it. Make a whole persona up. Maybe you like daffodils. Doesn't matter. Just put a little more effort into it. That's all I think.
Do you think it's effort, or do you think in some cases it's a lack of knowledge?
No, I really think it's a lack of effort. Phil, what do you think?
I think.
Sorry, you just said so.
Well,
Whole world knows.
And Min, you two.
Does my face say it all? I think basically a lot of people are bone idle, and they are not prepared to put the effort in to writing unique bios that actually have very much meaning. Go on, Shannon.
Oh, I was just gonna say, you can tell when somebody's made an effort and when someone hasn't. It is easy to make something up. I mean, I do it every day. Every time I come across one, I'll say, if you change this, or you just use this a little bit, or you add this and it worked. I even give them examples. It's not hard to put your difficult little SEO, even exact match keyword into the byline if you just think a little bit about it. That's so. I have a pet peeve. One sentence. Joe wrote this article. It's my new pet peeve.
Now, Shannon, you and Phil have given some excellent examples of what to do and what not to do. And what not to do, as I understand, is not to say, and so-and-so writes on behalf of such and such a company, but in some way to make it sound like a recommendation rather than an ad.
Well, it's not that they shouldn't. It's just that it's so hard to give examples. But if you do say that you're writing on behalf of so-and-so, please go visit their site. It's like a call to action. It's a call to action, you know, you might as well say, you know, be passing out flyers to me. So I just find it sounds more genuine if you don't say, I'm writing on behalf of, or so it leads you to believe that it's a sponsored post, whether it's paid for or not, you know. And the difference is in the cases where it is, okay, it's like say you are the owner of the company, or you're the CEO, or you're the website owner or whatever, then in that case, it sure seems to be fine. But the majority of people seem to write on behalf of somebody else. And it just seems disingenuous to me. That's just my thoughts.
So you're suggesting it, for example, I could say, hey, I like Chihuahuas and I love to buy Chihuahua dog food at such and such a pet store or something. That would be a good byline? Or
Sure. Yeah. For sure.
That would be okay.
Yeah. And it would sound great. And it would read nice. It would be upfront, you know. I love it when they say, okay, well, like that roofing example I gave the other day. You know, he's trying to place a link for whatever city, Massachusetts roofing company. And if you just reword,
I had one person complaining that it would mean telling lies.
Really?
I did.
I mean, they don't like the company that they're working for?
No, that she didn't. In your example, she didn't have a Chihuahua. She just like writing about them.
Oh, got it. Okay. She could borrow my Chihuahua.
I think byline should be about author only, about the writer. And if they don't really need to link out in byline, you know, why? I think it's better just to link in the article when something related, you know. In byline, it should be really about the author.
Well, the whole purpose is for guest posting, right?
Yeah,
I don't understand why these authors get away with it.
Link to the author's social profile or his own personal website, blog. It's more. Of course, he can also say his relationship with the company. He gets involved on working on a certain project that he can mention. For example, like I think Anne's bio, she would mention the company she works for. It's very natural. I think others can also do that. Just so you know, make it natural, not like I write this on behalf of. Why they do that? They can just mention that company, the relationship between them naturally.
I have come across a couple instances where the writer or the author or the SEO person, where they say that their client insists that they must write, or literally that they are, or I guess disclose is the better way to put it, that they have to say in some way that they wrote it on behalf of somebody else, of the client, that the client insists on it. I mean, I never personally come across that for me, but I've had some users say that. Well, we have to disclose that we wrote it.
If I may.
Absolutely.
Thank you. So one thing that we keep telling other people and discussing with each other is what clients require. And we can totally tell that we have a lot of agencies at MyBlogGuest that try to accommodate their clients. That doesn't mean that we have to as well. And everyone has clients. I do have clients as well, but I'm not going to blindly do what they want. And that's the difference between good service and bad service. If you provide a good service, you know how to do it right, and you will not change the way you do it for money. And that's the way we should ask the agencies that use MyBlogGuest to act. We should try to explain to them that if the clients requires exact match anchor text, or if the clients requires to say that you are paid for that guest post, then probably the client doesn't get it, and probably you need to have the power of words to explain how to do it right, and not just do whatever you are said to do because you are paid to do that. And that's the policy we need to insist on MyBlogGuest, and that's what the plan is. So I can get it that we have a lot of agencies and they are paid to do something using MyBlogGuest, and in turn they pay us. But we have the power to explain what to do right, and they should be able to explain that to their clients. That's the only way to go. We cannot do what their clients require. And that's the point we keep coming across a lot of discussions. And that's why we're trying to insist on our policies. The only way we can make them work is to explain to our members that they need to talk back to their clients. That's what we need to do. And if they are required to say, I'm writing on behalf of someone, or this is what I've seen, this is the sponsored guest post, that should be allowed just because clients ask for that. And we need to insist on that. And to the point about the nicknames and, may I say, fake names, they are fine. We cannot, we cannot make people disclose their real names. That's not the right thing to do from the ethical point. But what we have to do is to explain to them that even if that's not your real name, you should still talk about yourself. And you should promote that name as the brand name if you do not want to use your real name. And you should link, and you should take the time to make the social profiles and promote that those social profiles in your guest posts. And if you cannot talk about personal life, or you don't want to, talk about something else. But just not one sentence about your business. That's not going to work.
So that kind of leaves it up to the person if they want to talk about a chihuahua that they have or they don't have. It's their choice if that's fake or.
I have a little question. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so I came in a little late, so that maybe I missed part of the conversation. I get the part about I want to say this is Jim Bob Smith, and he writes on behalf of ABC Company, which is a great widget company. Go visit their website. Okay, I get that part. You don't want it to sound like an ad, right? Okay. Now that being said, now. We're not saying you can't mention the company in the byline, correct? You just don't want it to sound like an ad. Like, for example, I'm Gerald Weber from Search Engine Marketing Group, and I'm an internet marketer, and follow me on Twitter or something. I mean, you're not saying not to mention the company name at all, correct? Just don't make it sound like an ad. Is that correct?
Yes. In your byline, you can totally talk about the company you work for or you own, and that's what we both do, right, Gerald?
But then you're still about yourself,
I just wanted to make sure I was clear on what we're saying here.
Fine. But the only difference is you don't say I'm the owner of search marketing group, the best company. Please come and pay us money. We do
Best company in the world. Yeah,
social media
just make it sound like an ad.
That's the real difference, I think, is they
Yeah, I got you.
seem to.
I just wanted to.
Yeah.
I just came in on the tail end there, so I just wanted to make sure I was clear on what y'all were saying there.
What is Gerald saying?
What, you didn't hear me just now?
No, I was just like, okay, what's Gerald's opinion on the byline?
Well, no, I totally get what they're saying, and I think it's true. If you know, these real short bylines that really, yeah, I mean, if the byline is too short and it's just, you know, Jim Bob works for ABC Company, check out their website or whatever. Yeah, I mean, that does sound like it's just a promotional, I guess you'd say. So, yeah, I agree with
But even if
the
they
general.
don't use a link or anything in the byline at all, it's just a sentence thrown out there because it's supposed to be there. They don't care what it says or what it's about.
Yeah, right. Yeah, the byline needs to be a little more well written. I agree, and it probably is. Like I'm not sure who that was talking earlier. It sounds like you're in the background, and I think that's oftentimes, like someone was saying, just kind of laziness. You know, someone's just trying to crank out a bunch of articles.
Well, it all goes back to, pardon me, Brooke, it all goes back to, I think, what Ann was highlighting about education. You know, I think Nietzsche said, the person who has the strong enough why can deal with just about any how. So if we know the why, if we understand the why, then we'll put out the effort for the how. So educationally, you know, sometimes authors don't realize how important every part of that article is, and especially in the byline, understand why a byline is important. It's not just there to maybe throw a link if you can't fit your link in anywhere else. The byline should tell people why you, or why the author is capable of writing the article, why they should listen to that particular author on that particular topic. And the other thing is, it should tell something about the author that just makes us understand a little bit about, you know, their why for being there in the first place. So it fills out the article. I have people who don't want to write conclusions to their articles. They list a few points and then just drop the reader in midair without a conclusion. And if they feel like if they have their link in somewhere else in the body, then that's good enough. So, you know, it's that balanced approach, I think, and letting them know. I always tell people, hey, if you put in a little bit more effort, you'll get a lot more result from this. And just lead them down that road of here's why.
Exactly. Aaron wrote something in the chat. I think that it is more genuine to say who you are, even if your motivation is for business purposes. And that said, Aaron, do you want to take a moment and introduce yourself?
Sure. Am I off mute now? Okay. My name is Erin. I work for Boost Software. I'm Director of Public Relations. I have been on my blog guests for, or my guest blog, which one? I always type in the URL wrong whenever I'm coming here. I'm sorry. But I've been on here for maybe a month or two, but I've been more active within the past month. I run about 15 different departments at Boost Software, but I've been more hands-on with this one, watching what is going on. I was checking my Google Plus account today, saw there was a Hangout, so I thought I'd check out and see what was going on.
Well, welcome to the MyBlogGuest Hangout. Glad to have you here. And Anne, I thought we lost you for a moment. I'm so glad you popped back because I wanted to reference your blog post. Was it yesterday? The open letter from Ann Smarty. So if you guys haven't read it, you need to visit myblogguest.com/blog. I think it's the top article, but I love what you wrote there.
Thank you. That's something I've been thinking to. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah. Cool. That's something I've been thinking to write for some time, and probably I couldn't find the right words, but that's something I really, really think that we need to point our members to, because most of them are really fighting the right guys. They are fighting us while we are still on their side and we're trying to keep up. So that's been the huge problem with talking to MyBlogGuest users, because they get aggressive and they start fighting back, and we need to find the right words to explain to them why they are paying us money and we are still trying to moderate them. So probably more people will understand after that blog post.
That was very well written, as far as explaining that we are on the same side. We're not there to get up in the morning and say, let's beat up on MyBlogGuest users. That's not.
I say that so often, that we really, really want your articles to do the best they can. Always.
It's back to that big word, education, and I think a lot of what we're trying to do in the Google Plus community is educate people and help one another understand. I have plenty to learn.
I honestly think that a lot of users might still be in that e-zine articles mindset, where they just pumping out the article, doing the token obligatory whatever rules that you got to meet to get the article in, and then do the next one. You know what I mean, guys? You've used e-zine articles. Most link builders have. It's been a long time strategy for lots of people. But guest blogging is not an article or MyBlogGuest is not an article directory. We're an editorial way to network bloggers with publishers or vice versa. And I think that our users just aren't really understanding the difference between what, writing an article for an article directory is versus a guest post. They really don't understand what a guest post is, it seems to me.
Now, hey, Shannon, do you mind just really quickly explaining? I know that you've been in the industry for a little while, so I remember the e-zines, or some people said e-zines, or how you pronounce it. But for those that have just popped into the blogging realm, they may not remember that time or be able to compare that. Do you want to give a quick comparison?
Well, it's just it's a backlink or a link building tool, I guess. One of the many that people use to get links back to their website. And you just write an article. I think that, and there, my God, there's hundreds and hundreds of these article directories where you submit X many articles, or however many they allow. They have to be 500 words or more. You're only allowed to have 2 links. Same idea, but there's not really a byline. Like I remember Erin there, she says one of her boxes, so she's probably used article directory or seen it like that, where there's a box where you put your little information about. But it wasn't really for, the difference is that I don't even know how to explain the difference. Just know the difference. Guest blogging is you're trying to place it on somebody else's site, where the e-zine article, they get picked up, scraped, somebody copies and pastes it, it's RSS feed somewhere, whereas guest blogging, it's published once, it's seen once, it's not, if it's picked up by somebody else, it's because they've plagiarized it.
I've been on the articles marketing side as well for some time. I'm not sure if you can hear me because I'm experiencing some connection problems.
Yep, we hear you.
Oh, great. And the huge problem we're dealing with at MyBlogGuest is that most people are used to doing things differently. And that's probably the hugest, that's not even the lack of education, but the lack of proper objectives and the lack of the desire to do the right thing. And the main difference between what people are used to do and what we want them to do at MyBlogGuest is that they miss the point that our publishers have no reason to publish their content, especially if that's a good blog who accepts articles. They have no reason to publish those articles except for the quality of that article. And that's an obvious point many people just miss. And then they come to us and say, I'm not getting offers, as if we have no incentive to the publishers to publish their content. We don't give them money. We don't give them anything. We can help them promote their content if they want to, but that's an extra. And so no incentive at all, except for the quality of your article. And even despite the fact that that's really, really an obvious point, people just miss it and don't understand it. No matter how much we try to explain that, they don't understand that if your byline is too weak, and if your article just tells nothing useful to the reader, why would blogger want it? And I'm not sure how they imagine the MyBlogGuest really works. Maybe some of our members think that we somehow own those blogs or somehow give them something. But that's not the case. The only reason why they're using MyBlogGuest is to get content that would be shareable, that would attract votes, shares, and traffic. And that is why it comes from you. The higher quality your content is, the better the blogger. That's the logic that everyone should understand. But very, very few people really do.
Comes back to like Don said as far as education, and something that really sets MyBlogGuest apart from other communities is the relationship aspect. And thank you, Don, for all your work in the community on G+. That's incredible.
Well, it takes all of us, Deborah, and I think it's exciting to see people pitching in, and I've seen the numbers rising and seen more people come in and talk about things. I think it's refreshing to find a community that really is a community that wants to discuss things and help one another grow, rather than just a place to pop in and drop a link and run. So it's fun. I enjoy it myself.
But I think it actually takes some work to build that. So many people are used to the flyby postings all over the internet, and to be able to say, hey, MyBlogGuest is different. Thank you, Anne, for making MyBlogGuest different like that, and not just a platform, but a relationship building tool as well.
The other thing about building relationships through MyBlogGuest, people really miss, is that in the long term, you can stop paying money anyone and just live on those relationships, which will help you from each time you want something to go somewhere, you know where it should go. That's why when we say don't pay us money, no, use the free tool, build relationships. We don't need your money. We want you to build relationships and live on those relationships. Because in the long term, that's what your business will be based on, your marketing will be based on, and that's the relationships marketing. I think that another problem with marketing as it's done on the web right now is that people are not used to relying on long-term objectives. They want results now, they want results quickly, and they want to somehow explain to the client what they are doing and to show the results within a month or two. So not many people are really ready to invest in long-term objectives.
That makes sense. Now, we were also going to talk about SEO and linking. It's such a popular topic, and yet a topic that brings out passion. So What's a concise way to talk about the linking as far as it relates to the articles on my blog guest? Anne?
Yes. We see Google talk about paid links more often today, and we see many people suffer from that. And that's why even though links you get through MyBlogGuest are in no way paid, we want to make sure they don't look like paid. And that's sad, even that we have to talk about that, because that's something really sad, because I didn't think that we will ever have to deal with that when talking about guest blogging. But we have, and that's why our main rule and the shortest one, make sure your links flow naturally, and make sure they are surrounded by other links. That's the part of they are flowing naturally. Don't use exact match anchor text, no matter how much you're paid to do that. Try to link to pages, not home pages, to deep pages, to articles on your site. And don't be greedy link to someone else that adds value to your article, coming back to surrounding your articles with links. So that's probably, those are most important points to make sure that your links will pass and will not raise any flags with Google.
We don't want to flag Google.
Yes.
Google will be happy with us. Excellent points. And guys, there's a lot of excellent articles that Anne has on the MyBlogGuest.com blog. It's just MyBlogGuest.com/blog. And if you participate, see, I gotta put the pitch in there, and this because I'm so excited about it. But join the Twitter chats on Thursdays. A lot of good information. Anne is an expert on the SEO. So if you're talking about linking, she's the lady. Gerald, you're also an expert on SEO. Do you have comments?
I was just unmuting myself there. Yeah, I don't know if I'd use the term expert, but professional is probably a better word, SEO. Yeah, I mean, just along the same lines as what Anne was saying, I mean, with the, I do think some people are going a little bit overboard with the idea that anchor text is bad, but it's true if you use too much anchor text, that definitely will work against you. So it's very important not to use the same anchor text over and over. And also there's another aspect that a lot of SEOs miss, is that Google does look at more than just what's in the anchor text. So they look at things such as relevance and also keywords that are in close proximity to the link. So while it's okay to use anchor text sometimes, as long as you're not using the exact match over and over, what I would do when using anchor text is I would always use a long tail version and not the exact phrase you're trying to rank for. But more importantly, I wouldn't always use anchor text on every single post because Google is looking for natural linking patterns, and that will include things such as brand name, actual URL, things like click here and stuff like that, but also relevance of the content, and the blog is also somewhat important. So yeah, I would just keep all of those things in mind, and definitely if you just think anchor text is the key and you use the same anchor text over and over, that will actually decrease your rankings, and that has the potential to bring you from like page 1 to page 200 or page 200 or something. And then once you get out of that, you could get out of that, but you don't even want to get in that mess to begin with. So you just need to keep the linking looking natural and authentic and not manufactured. That's the most important point.
I like that, not manufactured. That's consistent with something that you mentioned in one of the other Hangouts, Gerald, as far as you just keep using the same text over and over, pretty soon you're not. It's not benefiting you at all in Google, and that's what you're saying.
Well, yeah, and what Google does is they'll take a look at your entire link profile, and if you have the exact same phrase going over and over, Google doesn't necessarily go as deep as to say, okay, this is a highly commercial phrase that, but they do look at, if you're linking this exact phrase and it's like 30% or 50% of your incoming anchor text, there's just, unless it's the exact name of your business or URL, there's no way that that's natural, So they'll see that and they'll discount that term quite significantly.
Which is why Anne keeps saying, use the brand name, use the brand name.
Shannon, I was just going to say, another SEO expert.
Oh, don't put me on the spot.
Oh, come on. I gave you a warning before this hangout. I was going to put you on the spot.
No, I don't really have anything to add, actually. It's pretty obvious. If it doesn't read naturally into the sentence, then it's unnatural, really. And if you can't make it look natural, then put it in the byline and use the brand name.
What about the brand name having, for example, if you're an SEO expert, you just put SEO expert within the brand name?
Then that's unnatural. Well, how else can you do that? Right?
Well, if that was actually the name of the company, theoretically, you could get away with it, but it sounds spammy, If you started linking SEO expert, it sounds incredibly spammy,
It sounds like you just came up with that? Hmm?
Yeah, it sounds like you came up with that to try to rank for, SEO expert.
We should remember as well the purpose of anchor text is to describe, to let the reader know where that link's going to head. And I think sometimes we want to mistakenly think that all the bot does is crawl an article looking for anchor text, and that's not the case. Anything you write in there is subject to be pulled up and searched on. The anchor text, again, is primarily for describing to the reader what are you going to get if you click here.
Good point.
I love in Anne's 10 Commandments of blogging, I want to say the article is, she really emphasizes the fullness of everything we do in our guest articles. And I think that applies to anchor text as well. Is it useful? And always thinking about the reader. And we do SEO at Happy Dog. I'm still learning. I'm coming from an English background, so I'm working my way towards expert, but already I can tell just being useful and being user first is so important. Otherwise, the article is going to really have no value.
All right.
Thank you, Brooke. Any other thoughts on linking? Phil, you've been quiet for a while.
Yeah, I'm just playing. Hang on. Personally, I would prefer to see anchor text in the body, or not so much anchor text, a link in the body than in the byline. To me, it looks more natural because the blogger can put extra authority links around it to disguise it, and that the bio should be, as Min said earlier, basically about the writer. That's what I would be looking for in posts on my own sites. And I think all the members who refuse body links are looking back at previous days, previous incarnations of search engine algorithms. I think that they're misguided. As to what the text can be, I don't know enough to say, except that people keep telling me no exact match. stuff, and I know enough to recognize artificial SEO type links. But I'm not an expert on what you should be writing, except that several people have said it needs to sound natural. And so often, what the member has been given to work with is next to impossible. For example, dentist Boston, which is not good English, and the only way you can make it work is by putting a full stop or a comma between them, which looks ugly.
People are doing that.
And in the bio, you might get away with it, but in the body, I wouldn't be happy to see it. What I normally do is to tell people to put in between, because I've been told that prepositions like in or what's the word? Or the definite object like the or a make no difference to how the search engine sees it. So by putting those in, a dentist in Boston, then it then becomes good English, it flows, it's more natural.
But that doesn't look, to me, just as a user or reader, that doesn't look very natural. If you link just that part, dentist in Boston, it looks like an SEO tactic rather than reading.
I wonder.
Well, in that case, you would need to have the whole article about having kids in Boston and what you'd have to do, to bring them up right. How dentists were very expensive in Boston, but it would have to be written from a very personal perspective, to my mind, to make that one work.
But
rather than just some dentists say do this and some dentists say do that, and Boston dentists say do the other. It would be more like, I had to take my 2 kids to the dentist last week because the water in Boston is dreadful and it corrodes their teeth. This sort of something making it very Boston specific.
That makes sense.
But then we're talking location links, and that's another issue.
Shannon, what were you?
I was going to say, you know how Google or the search engines, they cut out certain words like in, the, and, you know what I mean? They just exclude them. What's the word I'm looking for? I lose words, you guys. You know what I mean? What do you call that?
Stop words.
Yeah, it separates those words out. So would that be true as also if you used it in an anchor text? If you said dentist in Boston, it's not gonna count the word in because it's an often used word? I've always wondered that. Did you see what I'm saying?
First of all, I would like to try to reply because this is my first time here. But I think that we are talking too much about those links. And first of all, to Shannon's question, I don't think anyone knows the answer. We use top words to vary anchor text, but we don't know if Google sees them as exact match anchor text or not. We don't know that, and Google won't tell us. I didn't do any testing, but I'm pretty sure that Google will think of it as not exact match anchor text. That's my best guess. As for speaking about dentist in London type of anchor text, be it in or with or without in, let's take it that it's an extremely difficult anchor text to match any guest post. To be able to sound natural and to flow naturally in the article, probably that article would be about dentists in London. And I don't see any blog being interested in that type of article. So we have to start accepting the fact that not all anchor texts are made for guest posts. And we need to start talking about links that do not work in guest posts as well. And I know that's a hard question, and I know that many people will be unhappy to hear that. But in many cases, there is no way a link could look naturally in a guest post. And let's stop even talking about those links. Whether it's dentist in London or just dentist.london, in any case, in most ways, it will be absolutely unnatural anchor text to use in the guest post, whether it's body or byline. And I would like to see more moderation in that way. If the anchor text smells search marketing, we would like to try to convince the user to stop. Why? We know why, because Google is getting more and more aggressive, and for some reason our publishers, some of them, are ready to use those articles on their sites, and that's not right. At the end of the game, MyBlogGuest will be the one to be blamed for some of the outcome of that. So with types of anchor texts like dentist in London, search marketer in New York, or many other location-based links, let's try not to use them in guest posts at all. The plan is that I know that location-based links are a huge market because of the local marketing being so effective today. We'll try to accommodate that need by creating local requests and trying to find New York-based bloggers who will be happy to write about dentists in New York. That's the plan. But with all search-based and keyword-based and exact match anchor text, let's start. I think that we already started that conversation, and that's not the easy one. And we try to somehow convince our users to stop using MyBlogGuest as exact match link building platform. This is not right.
Good advice, and that kind of comes full circle to what you were saying before, Anne, as far as education. If you have a client that's asking you to write an article and it's not in their best interest as far as SEO, that's an opportunity to educate the client.
Yes, and agencies should start taking that responsibility. And just because the client pays you money, that doesn't mean they know what they are doing, and that doesn't mean they won't be helpful, won't be thankful if you explain that to them and make that a really well-educated explanation. Collect the facts, case studies, what Google says, what other people say, and present that to them. Many clients will follow that advice. Most of them actually will. And I'm not just talking about that from nowhere. I'm talking about that from experience, because I know that. I've been talking to many clients, and they all listen when you explain that to them. So don't be afraid of making your relationships with clients longer term and more trusted by explaining to them what works and what doesn't work, what is dangerous and what is not. Don't be afraid of talking to your clients. That's my call to all the agencies that use MyBlogGuest. Don't be afraid of showing them what should be done and what is too dangerous to do, because you will suffer, you will lose your website at some point of time. And don't get me wrong, I don't say that anchor text doesn't work. It does. Sadly, it still works. But that doesn't mean that you can risk your business by trying to rank #1 or by trying to do that too fast. The risk nowadays, the risk is higher than the positive outcome that we get from that ranking. The risk is much higher. I've seen huge websites being banned by Google for most competitive anchor texts, and they did millions by being ranked in the first top 5 results. And agencies that work for clients need to grow up and start talking to clients and explaining that risk. And most of your clients will love you even more for that.
Definitely. And guys, you don't have to think of this off the top of your head. You have Ann Smarty. You have the MyBlogGuest moderators, and you have the MyBlogGuest community. So if you have questions, and you agencies out there or freelance writers, if you have questions as far as what to say to your client, come ask questions, for example, in the G Plus community for MyBlogGuest, in the MyBlogGuest forums. And I'm sure there's people there that can answer questions, and it'll start a discussion. If someone doesn't have the answer, it's an opportunity to find the answer as a community. You guys are so silent.
Those are so good words. You just did that. There is nothing like better to say.
Oh, thanks. This has been such a wonderful hour. Thank you so much for joining us. Anyone want to say a last goodbye or final tip?
Have a fantastic weekend, everybody.
That sounds good.
That's a good
tip.
Don't bet on the fourth.
Yes, and use viral content buzz if you aren't already.
Yes.
I'm loving viral content buzz.
Gerald, are you like covering your mouth so no one knows that you're saying it, or is that for the effect?
I was just going for the effect. I was just talking into the microphone.
That is cool. That is cool. That'll come across really well. Shameless plug in the MyBlogGuest podcast. So for any of you that want to listen while you're out there jogging, traveling out on the beach, this whole hangout will be on a podcast, including Gerald's plug for viral content buzz. Well, thank you all. We look forward to seeing you in the MyBlogGuest community, on the forums, in the Twitter chat. Wow, there's just so much cool MyBlogGuests out there. We're taking over the world. Just kidding. But in a good way, educating people and more community. And we love community. So thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Anne.
Thank you for having me. Yeah.